Hello friends, welcome to GCA. Hope you all are doing good. So today the video is regarding India-Iran relations and this is going to be the 10th video in the relation series. As before this, I have made videos on India's relationship with major countries like US, China, Russia, Pakistan, France, etc. And if you want to watch these videos, the link is available in the I button. So in this video, firstly I will cover the timeline of events followed by the areas of cooperation, then the importance of Iran for India, and finally the way forward. So again, without wasting any time, let us start. So India and Iran shared cordial relations for last many centuries, and throughout the history, the economic and cultural exchanges took place through Silk Route. And during the Mughal era, the official language in India was Persian, because of which there is a presence of around 70,000 Parsis in India today. And even after the independence of India, the relations remained friendly when both the countries established diplomatic ties on 15th of March 1950. But during the Cold War era, this situation changed. Iran opted for Western Bloc led by USA, whereas India decided to remain non-aligned. However, it was inclined towards Soviet Union. But despite being on different sides, both the countries managed to retain friendly relations. And even during the India-Pakistan War of 65 and 71, the situation remained static. And then following the 1979 revolution, the relations between India and Iran gained momentum. However, it was Iran's continued support for Pakistan and India's closeness with Iraq during the Iran-Iraq War which deteriorated the development of relations. And during the initial days of conflict, both the countries were diplomatically opposed. Iran supported the Northern Alliance, whereas India backed the Soviet-led government. However, this situation completely transformed after the Soviet forces withdrew from Afghanistan and both the countries were on the same side as they opposed Taliban. And subsequently, the relations started improving and it improved considerably after the 9/11 attacks. And both the countries signed a defense cooperation agreement in December 2002. And after this, the relations between both the countries followed series of ups and downs. For example, both the countries share common strategic interest, but they differ significantly on foreign policy issues. For example, India has expressed strong opposition to Iran's nuclear program, and while both the countries they are on the same side in opposing Taliban, but India supports the presence of NATO in Afghanistan, whereas Iran opposes it. And both the countries have placed several bilateral consultative mechanisms at various levels where meetings take place regularly. And in addition, there is Institute of Defense Studies and Analysis of India and the Institute of Political and International Studies of Iran, who hold a regular roundtable to exchange views and ideas on bilateral and multilateral issues. And Iran supported India at international organizations such as OIC and Human Rights Commission by objecting to Pakistan's attempt to draft anti-India resolutions. And on the other side, India welcomed Iran's inclusion as an observer state in the SAARC. But later on, Iran's differences with the USA and Western world put India on the back foot, because at that time India was getting closer to USA, and because of which India had voted against Iran under the pressure of USA 3 times in International Atomic Energy Agency meetings. The first vote was in 2005, followed by 2006 and 2009. However, despite these setbacks, both the countries continued their trade and economic relationship, and in fact, the European countries refused to provide insurance to tankers carrying oil from Iran. Then the Indian government came forward offering state-backed insurance to resume business with Iran. Then in 2010, Iran's supreme leader appealed to Muslim world to back the freedom struggle in Jammu and Kashmir, and in order to counter this, Iran summoned the acting Iranian ambassador in New Delhi to lodge a formal protest. Then in August 2013, Iran detained India's largest ocean liner shipping corporation vessel that was carrying crude oil from Iraq. Then in May 2016, India started to reform its relations with Iran as a part of its Look West policy when Indian PM made 2-day visit to Iran, and that visit was very significant because it was the first time that the Indian PM made a visit to Iran in last 15 years. And in order to create a goodwill prior to his visit, the government of India released more than 700 million US dollars due payments to Iran, and in that visit around 12 bilateral agreements were signed, and the most important was the Chabahar port and a trilateral transport and transit corridor between Iranian and the Afghan government. And another memorandum of understanding was signed between the companies of both the countries for the construction of 500-kilometer long Chabahar and Zahadan railway line. Then in May 2018, USA left the joint comprehensive plan of action that was signed between Iran and P5+1 countries by citing the reason that Iran was not addressing its missile program completely and was not protecting the national security interest of USA and its allies, and because of which USA imposed sanctions on Iran. The first set of sanctions were in August 2018, followed by the second set in November 2018, and this made the situation difficult for the countries like India, because at that time we were the leading importer of Iranian oil, and therefore from August 2018 India reduced its oil import from Iran, and later we got waiver from USA under the CAATSA Act, but it was only for 6 months, and therefore in April 2019 USA announced that it will not provide any further waiver to India and other countries which were given exemptions under the CAATSA Act, and therefore the oil imports from Iran reduced to zero by May 2019. And after that, relations between both the countries went down. Last year, Iran criticized India twice on Delhi riots when Iranian foreign minister tweeted that there is a wave of organized violence against Indian Muslims, followed by another tweet mentioning that Indian Muslims are in danger, and Iran also criticized abrogation of Article 370 by India. Now let us discuss the areas of cooperation. So the first is economic relations. So India and Iran economic and commercial ties were mainly based on import of crude oil by India from Iran, and these were mainly enhanced after India opened its economy in the early 1990s. And talking about India's export to Iran, these include petroleum products, fine chemicals, machinery and instrument parts, then man-made yarn, etc. And now we all know that India is the third largest consumer of oil after US and China, and we were importing 82% of our oil requirement. And in 2008 to 9, Iran emerged as India's second largest market for Iran's export of crude oil. But in the present time, we have cut oil imports from Iran because of US pressure. Now the second area of cooperation is the infrastructure development. So the first is the Zaranj-Dilaram highway, which is built with financial support from India. Then second is the Chabahar port, which is jointly financed by both India and Iran. And India alone plans to invest 20 billion US dollars for the development of this port. Now all these projects are in danger because of the situation arising in Afghanistan. Now let us discuss a key point, the importance of Chabahar port for India. Now Chabahar port is significant for India because of its geographical as well as economic interest. Talking about economic interest, India wants to reach Central Asia because Central Asia is a region which is laden with huge amount of mineral reserves. So as we are an energy hungry country, we can meet our energy needs. Now in terms of geographical interest, the first thing is Chabahar's location because it is a gateway to Indian Ocean, which make it a lucrative regional shipping hub. And secondly, it is very close to Pakistan's Gwadar port, which is just 90 km away, and therefore we can keep an eye on the activities of China as well as Pakistan. Next is the Chabahar Zahedan railway project, for which the contract to develop 628 km railway line along Iran-Afghanistan border was signed in 2016. But last year, Iran started working on this project alone in the month of July. And India is not a part of this project because there is no clarity that whether it will attract US sanctions or not. But we have made it clear to Iran that we are open to join this project in the coming years. And next is the North-South Transport Corridor, which is a connectivity corridor through ship, rail and road route between India, Russia, Iran, Europe and Central Asia. And its main objective is to increase trade connectivity between major cities and also to counter China's Belt and Road Initiative. And the next is the Farzad B gas field, for which the contract for the exploration of field was signed in 2002 and the contract expired in 2009. Basically the main reason was the dispute over the setting up of two pipelines, and therefore in January last year we were informed by Iran that Iran would develop the field on its own and it would likely to involve India in the later stages. Talking about other areas of cooperation, culture and education, so both the countries maintain regular cultural and educational exchanges, and there is a memorandum of understanding that was signed in 2008 between both the countries on holding Day of Culture in two countries. And accordingly, Iranian Cultural Week was held in New Delhi and Mumbai in the month of April to May in 2008, and India held its Day of Culture in Tehran in May 2011. And in terms of education, there are about 8,000 Iranian students who are studying in India, and India provides 67 scholarships every year to Iranian students under various schemes, and every year 40,000 Iranians they visit to India for various purposes. And there is Kendra Vidyalaya Tehran, the Embassy of India school, who serves the Indian citizens who are living in Tehran. Now let us talk about the present context. So India has stopped buying oil from Iran because of the threat of US sanctions, and on the other side, China has become Iran's biggest trading partner. Although India is improving its ties with the US day by day, but on the other side, Iran knows that India needs Iran for the access to Afghanistan and further to Central Asia. And recently, Taliban has captured Kabul, and Iran knows that India needs Iran. As on the other side, Pakistan is increasing its influence in Afghanistan, and after Taliban in place, Indian projects are in danger. So therefore, both the countries, India and Iran, needs each other as both are opposing Taliban. Now let us discuss the last portion of the video, that is the way forward. So first of all, having good relations with Iran are economically and geostrategically important for India, because in the present times most of the wars fought around the world, they involve energy resources, and this also proves that energy security is the most important consideration for any country in the present times. So, and this is also true for India, because we are an energy hungry country and we are also aspiring to become a regional as well as global power. And in order to achieve this goal, we need to ensure that India must have enough reliable sources of energy, both conventional as well as unconventional. Coming future, energy security will continue to be the main consideration for India to sustain its economic growth. Although India claims that it is pursuing an independent foreign policy, but when it comes to Iran, India's foreign policy is not free of US pressure. So therefore, if India aspires to be recognized as an emerging power, so this is the time that India starts taking decisions independent of the US pressure, and this will also help in bringing peace and security in the region. And for this, there is a need for a new multilateral foreign policy strategy that is vital for India to maintain strategic autonomy that favors inclusive growth and national interests. So friends, this is the end of the video, and I have tried to keep this video as short as possible, and I hope this information will be beneficial for you. So till then, keep learning, keep watching and keep supporting. Best of luck for your upcoming interview. Jai Hind.